Hello, my absolutely beautiful friends. It's me, Stormie Grace, and welcome to the OPA, Organization for Professional Astrology Full Moon Report. And I am so thrilled to be talking about this particular full moon at 16 degrees of Virgo, happening here March 7th, which is just a big day all around. We've got Saturn also moving into the energy of Pisces. The world and the energies as we have known them will never be the same. So it is a really significant day, I think, as we're looking at what this particular full moon has to offer. Now, the way forward from this full moon, I don't know that we have crystallized clarity about what will actually create new stability, but I think that there is definitely an indicator at this full moon that whether or not you have clarity, you do not have to wait to have peace. And that is a really big symbol as we're looking at the full moon happening here in March. So let's get in here and talk about what exactly is going on. So the full moon, first of all, astrologically, if you're some of our newer practitioners, we've got the sun and the moon in opposition to one another. So the sun is in the energy of Pisces and the moon is in the energy of Virgo. So they are opposing. So it is an energy where we feel going in two different directions, whether it is actually things outside of us, my needs versus my wants, my home versus my work, whatever it is that is pulling in opposing directions, we feel that pull going on. But what we're really trying to do with any opposition is to integrate. We want to find ways to find the sweet spot in the middle of this opposition to create an integration of where both sides are bringing realistic, usable, integrated information. And I do think that that is a little bit more challenging at this particular full moon. The ruling planet of this full moon, Mercury, is actually in the energy of Pisces, where it is considered to be in fall. So where this full moon wants us to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment to something in the Virgo areas of our chart, and it is giving us all of this light in the sky to be able to do it, to see it, to let it emotionally rise to the surface. With the ruling planet in a position that is not so clear, what I don't believe we're able to do at this particular full moon is just to factually grab information. Mercury likes the facts. Give me the facts, give me the details. And if you can do it quickly, that would be even better. Right? So it's very much so that, but in the realm of Pisces, Mercury is not able to just gather the intellectual facts in that way. Mercury is tasked with working in the realm of the emotional intelligence, the intuitive intelligence, and the psychic intelligence. So at this full moon, as information is rising itself to the surface, so that we can get reorganized, we can adjust what is not in alignment of the best service to our own lives and to those around us, that is not serving us in terms of the stories or the past stories we tell ourselves, the stories of our ancestors that are no longer serving us, and the stories of our ancestry and our lineage that are serving us. What we have the opportunity to do is to get quiet at this full moon and say, what am I being shown? Where Mercury can work factually to help us here is to go back into these stories and say, what about this? Have you looked at it from this direction? Did you forget this factual piece of the story? So there is this emphasis at this full moon of revelation, and a revelation that I think as we look, 2.5 weeks down the road, certainly 4 weeks down the road to the next full moon, we can say, I've actually had a little bit of a rebirth in terms of what I believe around stories in my life, what I believe around what is of service, where I have excess things in my life that are not serving me anymore, and I can rid them, right? Because the Virgo energy will clean it out. We'll clean all of these informations out. We'll clean all of these excessive energies out so that the space can be as tidy and as organized as is possible. From this particular position and vantage point, working with the Virgo energy like this is why I say that as Mercury in this fall position is presenting us information about what we are doing, why we've been motivated to do it, what the story is that we've been sharing with ourselves and maybe even sharing with others. One of the things that it will motivate us to do is to realize that I don't have to wait until I have full clarity, until I get an amends that I maybe will never get, until I have that money, until I have that job, to be happy, to be content, to be inwardly reorganized. I simply have to be somewhere in the space of the truth, right? When we're looking at the opposition and the axes of Virgo and Pisces, it's somewhere in, I have this belief of what can be, and I have this ideal of what can be, and while the sun is blaring here, I'm willing to work for and push for my ideals, but it has to be married with the action, right? The action and the willingness to change plans and change that action and change the course if I need to in order to actualize. It's where faith and action actually come together to integrate and make the dream, make the vision a reality. So it's going to be an interesting full moon this time, I think, when we look at what is your path been? What has your past been? What have your patterns been? What are the stories that you're telling yourself that you can surrender, you can free, you can tidy up, you can end, acknowledge, or make adjustments to have this inward reorganization where you do not have to wait for circumstances for you to be okay and be happy and have that inner peace. It's going to be an absolutely big piece of the story. Now, on the same day, we do have Saturn entering into the vibration of Pisces, and this is a big deal. Even though it is not going to be at this 16 degrees, Saturn alone entering into the vibration of Pisces, it's like the guitar string, right? You strum that chord or just pluck that string, and it's not like just pieces of that string vibrate, right? The string is going to vibrate, however loud or heavy or intense may be different, but it is going to vibrate. So at this particular moon as well, Saturn coming to create some crystallization around that Piscean energy will challenge. It will absolutely challenge the facts that I think you've been telling yourself or that you've been working with, or stories that have been again from the past. It will challenge them to say, is this true? And if this is true, what are the actions that you will take to crystallize and demonstrate your truth, right? In terms of your faith, Pisces, or your ideals, do you preach them or do you preach and live them? Do you walk your talk? This is going to be an absolutely large amount of symbology that I think is available at this particular full moon. Now, the other thing that is, I am mindful of is how this energy has its connection with Mars. And at this particular time, Mars is not out of the post-retrograde shadow energy yet. So we have to be mindful that still so much of the information we are working with, even if it's new information that's been coming to us, we can't really apply the new information and solutions just yet until March 15th. We need Mars to get into full forward motion. Right now, it is still simply the action of acknowledging information, realities, or facts that have been presented. So it's going to be a really interesting moon to see how, even once the information is given to us, we realize there's very little that we can do physically to move it forward, but instead that we do not have to wait for internal peace for all of the external situations to be, spot on the way that we would like them. Another place that I would like to take you in considering how this full moon will play out in your particular chart, in your particular world, is I'd like to take you back to September 7th of 2021, where we actually had a new cycle of Virgo lunar energy at 14 degrees of Virgo. So at that particular time, it really was something that started in your life. A cycle that began at that time, and now at this particular full moon, it's coming to its culmination. So I like to pattern track forward and back because we are really the best indicators of our own predictive astrology. What was starting for you between 14 and 16 degrees of Virgo in your chart back in September of 2021. What was going on in this area for you? What were the patterns? What were truths? What were stories maybe even that you were telling yourself at that time, and now they're coming up and you're getting to re-look at them? I would absolutely love to know what that has looked like for you in our comment section down below. But whatever it is, just know that that was a starting time in the cycle, and now you're able to bring some of that to culmination. And really, if we track even further, if you go back to June 7th of 2022, we had a quarter moon at 16 degrees of Virgo. And this gives me the indicator that I'm like, you were on the road to some kind of progress at this particular time. You're turning away from was already actually in process at this time. And you maybe knew that there was an action to be taken, whether or not you were fully ready to take it at that time. So check out those particular dates and let us know in the comment section down below what was happening for you, because it's definitely the change in what's happening now. I could share in my own personal chart, these things were lighting up absolutely 100% in my first house, and some of the big things that were happening and were coming out for me were beliefs and ideas about getting organized to come out and teach, and things were starting to get in place for me around where do I feel like my physical body, first house, and my identity belong in this world and on this planet. And for me, I have found out that it is someplace other than where I have been. But the pathway was an illumination in 2021, and absolute readiness in 2022, and now a delivery coming to pass here in 2023. So let me know, what was your experience? What's the pattern? What's the story of yours that has been challenged, that you've been working through, that this particular full moon is going to help you end, acknowledge, or adjust? Now, for the rest of the full moon cycle, taking you all the way to the new moon, I will be guiding you daily with transit report updates and things for you to think about here at OPA. So make sure you are following us on all of our socials so that you can engage and have some delicious thought process time and some being with and reflection time about what this season has meant for you in the past and what it means for you now. All right, my beautiful friends, I'm Stormie Grace here with OPA, the Organization for Professional Astrology, and I look forward to seeing you throughout the entire full moon cycle. Bye, friends.